Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. For today's video, we are doing a good old-fashioned book shopping vlog. I am definitely in need of some comfort as of late, as I'm sure many of you are. And comfort for me entails spending 2.5 hours at Barnes & Noble. I guess my norm, what I usually do with these types of videos is I will amass books over a period of like a month or two, stockpile them up, and then take a trip to Barnes, grab a couple more, and then we do like a big collective haul. Do you guys remember when OG YouTubers would do like collective hauls? I loved that shit. It's also a rainy day outside, which is basically God telling me that I need to go to the bookstore. Every raindrop is just a whisper in my ear. I haven't decided if I want to talk to you guys while I'm in Barnes. I've never done that before, and I don't know if I'm capable of it, you know, talk you through my thoughts and my decisions as I'm there. If there are people anywhere around me, I will not be able to say a peep. So I'm still deciding on whether or not I have the courage to do so, because I think that would be really fun if I could just give you my thoughts on things while I'm there. Nevertheless, we are going to Barnes. I do have 1 or 2 books I'm looking for specifically. However, I tend to comb through that store like I work for the FBI, so who knows what we'll find. This is our book shopping fit. Apparently blue is still my favorite color. Usually it flip-flops. This fleece is from Old Navy. I'm so obsessed with it. They have multiple different colors. Jeans, slippers. Let's go. Okay, I'm here at Target because I always have to stop at Target first, and they have buy 2 get 1 free. Do I take advantage of it? First of all, is this ever going to come out in paperback? Because this has been out for like 4 years now, and I do want to read it, but I'm being a snob, and I don't want to read it until it's paperback. No, I've decided I can't change my plans. I already have a set allotment in my head for what I know I'm gonna buy. I can't change it. They do have these really cute candles though. Okay, I just pulled up to Barnes and I am nervous because the parking lot does look busy. And it's Sunday. I don't know what I was thinking. It's also raining much harder than I thought it was. And I have no form of protection. So I should have brought an umbrella. This is miserable. Okay, I made it inside. I always have to give myself a minute to like acclimate. Like I have to make a couple of rounds before I can actually start looking. It's very quiet in here. I always get so overwhelmed because like I want to be able to see everything all at once. And I know I can't do that. So I need to like walk around a couple times first. I always start with the display tables because I usually find at least 1 or 2 that I want to read here. This is the Best of Fiction 2024. I don't know what this is. One of you guys recommended this to me and I do still really want to read it, so we might take this home. Okay, what is that? Someone you can build a nest in? The lighting in here is awful. Interesting. This looked really intriguing, but I might wait for it to come out on paperback. In paperback. Look at how gorgeous these are. This is beautiful. The Shepherd King duology. Stunning. I have also seen this recommended non-stop for like weird, unsettling books. How cute is that? The butter bookmark. Not interested in any of this right now. Kind of just went through a breakup, so I'd rather read horror over romance right now. I always spend the most time in the fiction section. I think this is also where I need to look for the couple books that I actually have on my list. I also wrote down the titles of the books I'm looking for, but not the author, which is literally what I need to know. So, okay, we got it. This is what I was looking for, The Dance Tree. I also really want to read Lonesome Dove. Look how thick this is, though. It doesn't really ever deter me, but like, this is thick. So this is a textbook. I have not read any of the Zodiac Academy, and I don't think I will, but I'm so excited for the Wicked movie. I am like an undercover theater kid, which we don't have to talk about now, but I do have this one at home. I have the original book at home. Read this, everybody, please. Thank you. I'm thinking the other book I was looking for might be in the thrillers and mysteries, because I was just in the R's and I couldn't find it. Also read this, everybody. Read this. I just read the synopsis of this. This looks very interesting. We're also looking here. I'm obsessed with all of this. Do I need this? I kind of think I do. $26. No. Okay, I think I'm done browsing. I just need to find a little like corner to tuck myself in so I can deliberate. We're also going to be getting into some of these, which I will talk about later. I've tucked myself into a corner in the kids section. I love it here. Okay, I'm using my camera now. Quality is vastly different. Alright everybody, it is a couple days later because it was simply much too dark by the time I got back from Barnes the other day to do any filming because I was quite literally there for that long. This is my stack of books we're going to talk about. Like I said, I did acquire these slowly over time from various places. I did not just buy all of these from Barnes, although I wish I could have. I don't have the means to do that yet. Also, some of you may notice that some of these books follow a certain theme, but before we get into that, I'm about to go on a little tangent or a rant, and if you don't want to listen, that's fine. I will put where you can skip ahead to, but I do think it's kind of important. So I know I am very small here on YouTube, but I am very heavily immersed in the book community, and I know there is a lot of debate on where politics fits into books and fits into reading and fits into book talk, booktube, the whole nine. And I don't know how much of what I personally say really matters, but what I do know is that I do want this to be a safe place for people who enjoy my videos, for you to relax, escape, whatever purpose I serve for you. However, I don't think I could just sit here and not talk about the outcome of the election and what that necessarily means for us. If you are feeling anxious, scared, disappointed, angry, just know that I'm there with you. I hear y'all and I feel y'all. We are in a position where what we have chosen for our hobby, reading books, I assume that everyone watching this is somehow involved in the literature world somehow, but what we have chosen to do for fun and to make our hobby is also such a powerful tool for education, communication, preservation, lots of words with that suffix, all of which have unfortunately been at risk and are now at even greater risk because of what has just happened. I encourage you guys to read some nonfiction books, read some sociocultural sociology books, read banned books while you can, because that list is about to get much longer. I do take the stance that reading is inherently political, whether we want it to be or not. Like, the message is there in that book whether you want to comprehend it or not. But for the foreseeable future, I just want to be a good resource for you guys. I want to talk about books that could be good educational tools for us, books with important social commentary. Obviously, I'm still going to be reading like fun books, which I don't even know how to phrase that because to me all books are fun. Just encouragement to read some books that might be out of your comfort zone that you wouldn't normally read. They may become more important than ever now. That's where I'm gonna stop my little tangent. We'll get on to the book haul. I just want to tell you guys, hold on to your compassion, hold on to your empathy, and Donald Trump. Let's get started with the haul, shall we? I ended up walking out of Barnes with 3 books. I did not get the Frozen River because I did look it up on Amazon and it was much cheaper there, so I will be ordering it from there. Like I was saying, I went in there looking for 2 books. One they had, one they did not. The one they had was The Dance Tree by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This is historical fiction that takes place in 16th century France. At the height of summer, a lone woman begins to dance in the city square. She dances for days without rest, and when hundreds of other women join her, the city council orders musicians to play the devil out of the mob. I read the Goodreads sample, which is like 25 pages or so, before I bought it, and I was immediately drawn to the writing in this book. The best way I can describe it right now without having read any other part of it is just haunting. I like the sound of that, but I'm thinking this explores like hysteria, the imposition of hysteria on women, religious fundamentalism, lots of things that have absolutely no bearing on women and society today. The other book that I went in there looking for was The Discomfort of Evening by, I don't have the book right in front of me, and even if I did, I don't know if I'd be able to say that. I looked around the store for this book for probably a good 25 minutes before I realized that they did not have it. But I really want to read this book in December. For some reason, this cover is giving December to me. Maybe it's because of the way that she's all bundled up on it, but I know this is not a cozy book. No, this is supposed to be very disturbing and deeply unsettling, which could be my personal motto. Speaking of disturbing, I did end up bringing home Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I really wanted to give into that Barnes & Noble marketing team and capitalism and buy that Butter bookmark that they had displayed right next to this. That was so cute. I just did not let myself do that. But this is about a gourmet cook slash serial killer who lures her victims in, which all happen to be men, but she lures them in with her cooking and kills them that way. This also follows another female journalist who is kind of in communications with her, and that's odd because this serial killer has been refusing to speak to the press. This book isn't anything new. Like, I have seen it talked about before, but it is the Barnes & Noble monthly pick, and like I said, they did their thing with the marketing. But every time I see this book being talked about, it's always included in like a weird books for weird girls type of recommendation video, and that's me. So I don't know why it took me so long to finally pick this up. Now, the last book that I got at Barnes was The Black Hunger by Nicholas Pullen. I don't currently have it on me because my mom already snatched it from me. She said, hey, I want to read that. I said, all right, girl. I feel like what I'm about to say is going to sound so stupid, but every other book that I have in this haul, I bought because I saw someone else talking about it. Going to the bookstore or the library and naturally finding a book that you want to read is such a lost art. At least for me it is. And I find that very disappointing to think about. That was all I used to do as a kid. I loved the library so much. My school libraries, our local library, that was my favorite activity to do. I would go there and I would just browse those shelves, and that's how I would find what I wanted to read. Obviously, BookTube, Book Talk did not exist when I was like 10. So, I don't know what my finishing statement on that was going to be, but it just makes me sad. I just love having that experience, like browsing the shelves, seeing a book you've never seen before. I purely by myself decided I wanted to read this book. And that is exactly what happened with this one. One of the blurbs like on the book from another author or something is that this is a terrifying gothic journey to the place where the very cruelest, hungriest creatures hide in the snow and wear our faces. What do you mean by that? I'm gonna find out. John Sackville will soon be dead. Shadows writhe in the corners of his cell as he mourns the death of his secret lover, and the gnawing hunger inside of him grows impossible to ignore. He must write his last testament before it is too late. It is a story steeped in history and myth, a journey from stone circles in Scotland to the barren wilderness of Ukraine, where otherworldly creatures stalk the night, etc., etc. It just seemed like there was a whole lot packed into this book that I would be very interested in. Gothic, medieval, it said something about cults on it. I'm into that. I'm ready for that. And then maybe I will be the reason that you guys decide to pick this one up. Now, the rest of these are all books that I have acquired from different places over the past month or two. One genre I really want to get back into over these next like few months is fantasy. Before I really became a part of the book community, fantasy was primarily all that I read. Like, I was purely a fantasy reader. I did not read anything else. Obviously, since becoming a part of all of this, my reading tastes have diversified quite a bit, and I feel like I've almost grown apart from fantasy. Like, when I think of all of these fantasy books that I used to be so in love with, I think about a person that I have grown from. So I really want to get back into it, but almost like a different type of fantasy. In my head, it is a very different genre of fantasy than what I had normally been reading. Don't know what to call it, but it's very like Game of Thrones, high fantasy. I keep wanting to call it like man fantasy, and I know that's not right. But to me, in my head, like, that's what this is. But the book I want to start with is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is about Vikings and gods and Norse mythology, like all stuff that I do not normally read about in fantasy. I was reading very like girly pop, fairy, romantasy type stuff. I believe this is part of a trilogy, and he also has another very popular series. I just really want to get back into fantasy and like escapism and not like real life human stuff. Also, within this little mission of mine, I want to get into some Brandon Sanderson books. If you are into these types of books, like this kind of genre I have half explained to you all, please tell me what I need to get into. Give me a recommendation, because like I said, I'm on a mission. I also picked up Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is about like a fictional post-pandemic world where society has essentially come to an end. Specifically follows this troupe of like musicians and actors as they're moving between these different settlements. When they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. I'm really liking the idea of like keeping art and humanity alive in a time where it feels like the world is like falling down around you. Being able to turn to art in a time where you need to reflect on the state of humanity, and also just continuing to find the beauty in humanity when it seems like there's absolutely none left. And it seems like this book is going to be a good representation of that. So, also kind of on the same note of being able to see the beauty in everything that you look at, I bought and have already started Devotions by Mary Oliver. I had a big poetry phase, probably like my freshman year of high school, Milk and Honey, like a very Tumblr poetry type era, but I really enjoyed it while I was in it, and I haven't really read much poetry since then. However, I kept hearing a snippet of one of Mary Oliver's poems, and I couldn't get it out of my head, so I bought her book Devotions, which is actually a collection across all of her different works. I've already started it and started marking down the quotes and poems that I like, and I know that I'm already falling in love with this. I am a person who is actually very sensitive, and I feel things very deeply, and for a very long time I tried to reject that about myself, and it made me so extremely unhappy. What I've picked up so far is that a lot of these poems are about allowing yourself to feel things very deeply, about seeing the beauty in the world around you, about allowing yourself to feel love and joy and happiness. And yeah, reading this has just made me feel very good lately. I also just think that if you are in your like early 20s, you're kind of trying to figure out your sense of self still, trying to figure out your place in the world, trying to figure out deep emotions, honestly any point of your life. I know I'm only 110 pages into this, but I'm already recommending it to you. Okay, so these last few books all follow a very common theme, which I think will be very obvious to most of you. I have finally obtained I Who Have Never Known Men. I have been saying that I was going to read this book for forever. One of you guys recommended this to me like way back at the start of my channel. I never forgot about it, and I also saw it talked about constantly since then. This is about a group of 39 women that all live in an underground bunker together. They don't know why they're there. They don't know how they got there. Most of them have very like vague recollections of their past lives. I think this is about them escaping, but I'm not entirely sure. Haven't read it yet. I'm very intrigued by the premise of this book, and very common sentiment that most people have when finishing this is that it was very fundamental to their reading experience. Like, this was the type of book that changed who they are, that they wish they could go and read for the first time. Like, it was an experience. Next up, I've got Men Who Hate Women by Laura Bates. This is a nonfiction book that explores the world of extreme misogyny and how it not only affects, obviously, women, but it also affects men as well. How vulnerable or confused or lost young men are kind of swept up into this dangerous thought process. Laura Bates, the author, is a women's rights activist. I believe in this she really looks to and explores why men are so attracted to some of these ideals and how the ideals of these like very violent extreme groups, how some of those sound so extreme but they're able to like seep into mainstream media, into schools, into the workplace, into everyday life. For a lot of women. This is just one of those books that I've been inspired to read in the light of our recent election. And while some people may look at the title of this and think it is way too extreme and things are not that serious, I think we're really about to see that that is not the case. Now, the last two books I have in my haul are two classics that I have never read before. I got The Stepford Wives and The Handmaid's Tale. My mother always references The Stepford Wives, and I never knew exactly what she was talking about. I saw one of the movies a really long time ago, so I do have an idea of what it's about. But this is about a woman named Joanna who moves to the town of Stepford with her husband and children. They're coming to find out that everything in Stepford, in this town, seems a little bit too perfect. For behind the town's idyllic facade lies a terrible secret, a secret so shattering that no one who encounters it will ever be the same. This is definitely reminding me of Don't Worry Darling with Harry Styles and Florence Pugh. Loved that movie. Obviously I know that like this was most likely the inspo for that, but I really like Don't Worry Darling, so I think I'm gonna like this too. And lastly, to finish out our haul, is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I have not read this book and I've really been inspired to. Obviously I'm assuming most people know the premise of The Handmaid's Tale. This is about a futuristic North America where I think for some reason or another a lot of women in the country become infertile. So the fertile women are all enslaved and used for those purposes, if you know what I'm saying. I have seen, I think, the first season of the show. I have not watched the whole show. I'm thinking after I read this, I'm probably gonna go back and start watching the show again. But I really liked the first season of the show, so I am very excited to read this. Again, I know that this is a book that has always been talked about, but it's being talked about much more. I feel like I sound a lot like a doomsday prepper in this video, but we are at the risk of a lot of these things being taken away from us. So again, I hope to be kind of just like a good resource for encouragement, for recommendations of books like these. But yeah, that is it for this haul. Let me know what you thought of like the bookstore vlog portion of this video. Like I said, it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, actually a lot outside of my comfort zone, but I think when I was done I actually really enjoyed it. So let me know if you want to see me do that again. I will have to get one of those tiny microphones to talk into because I was whispering a lot. But that's it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope you decide to stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.